Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started. If you guys could grab a seat, and we will get started. Thank you all very much for coming out. My name is Elliot Cohen. I'll be facilitating the session here tonight. Thank you all for coming out. A couple of things before we get started. We have a couple of handouts on the table just to go through what they are. The first thing is we've got a map of all the city-owned properties that are in the city of Lake Worth Beach. That was something that was requested at an earlier meeting, so the city has put that together. So you can grab that. Just one note about the city-owned properties. Obviously, this basically shows every single property that is owned by the city. They're not all vacant. Some of these properties already have things on them like utility easements or City Hall Annex or City Hall. But this map represents every piece of property that the city owns. So that's one of the handouts. The other two things that are on the table, again, in response to requests that have been made at previous sessions, we have a sample ballot, what the ballot language is going to be, so you can see what that's going to be. And we also have what the city clerk put together was a comparison of the exact language of the current city charter versus the exact language of the city charter if an amendment passes. So this is the precise legal language that will be in the city charter. This language obviously is different than the ballot language, but the city charter language, this will show you exactly what the change will be if it passes to the actual city charter. So that was something that we were asked to provide as well at earlier meetings. So first I want to thank you all for coming out. Thank you all who have attended all the sessions. For those of you, this is your first session, thank you very much for coming out. It's important that people stay engaged in their municipal business and what's going on in the city. So obviously, thank you so much for doing that. Some items tonight. The meeting is scheduled from 6 to 8 p.m. We've got the room until 8 o'clock. As you know, this is not a regular meeting, so it's not going to follow the format of a regular city meeting where there's 3 minutes of comment. What we're going to do is we're going to run through a presentation for you, and then we'll just sort of run around the room. Tonight we're not running around the room Phil Donahue style. We've got a mic set up for you to come up to the mic and ask any questions you have. The best place if you want to make a comment, your 3 minutes, is obviously at a commission meeting. And I would ask that as much as you can, this is an information session for Q&A. We've got individuals here from the city to try to answer your questions. Try to keep your comments as best you can to questions. Obviously, there might be some predicate to your question, but we would ask that for the courtesy of the people in the room, to keep it moving and keep it informational, that if you could just stick to the Q&A format. We've got several people from the city here tonight that will help answer your questions. We have Troy Perry, who's the Assistant City Manager, down here in front. William Waters, the Director of Community Sustainability, is in the back. Melissa Coyne, the city clerk, is in the back as well. And Jamie Brown, the interim city manager, is on his way. He had a family thing with his kids, but he's on his way. He'll be here, we anticipate, in about 10 or 15 minutes. A quick review of the Sunshine Law. I don't know if there are elected officials in here. For those of you familiar with the Sunshine Law prohibits two members of the same elected body from talking to one another about city issues unless it's a noticed meeting. This isn't a noticed meeting, so just keep that in mind. If we see more than one elected member of the commission here, the Sunshine Law would prohibit them from commenting and talking to one another about the issues. Of course, you're always able to talk to them one-on-one whenever you can. The city cannot advocate for or against referendums, so we're here to provide information. There may be some questions that city staff can't answer because of that limitation, but we'd ask that you be understanding of that. Election Day is Tuesday, March 10th for these issues. We start out with a little primer, sort of Government 101. What is a city charter? So there are several levels of government. What we're talking about here tonight are amendments to the city charter. The city charter was adopted in 1913. It's the city's foundational legal document. Think of it as sort of the constitution of the city. It defines the form of government, it defines the roles, sets rules for elections, finances, and other things, and it can only be changed by voter referendum. So again, think of it as sort of the higher level, sort of like the Constitution. Below the city charter, you have what's called the comprehensive plan, often referred to if you've heard the term comp plan. That's what they're referring to. The comprehensive plan is the long-term vision for growth and development in the city. It looks 10 to 20 years ahead, and it includes the goals, objectives, and other things that guide decisions on land use, housing, transportation, community development. The plan is periodically updated, and any changes would require approval from Tallahassee. Beneath the comp plan are the land development regulations, or LDRs. Again, you might hear them referred to as those. This is how the city implements the comp plan. It sets the development rules for zoning, building standards, site development. It ensures that development is safe, orderly, and compatible with the city. So those are the three levels of government. So what we're talking about here today is possible amendments to the city charter, which is that highest level of government documents. There are 5 proposed amendments. The first amendment, certification of election results, and the ballot question will read, the city utilizes the county canvassing board, and the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections certifies election results canvassed by the county canvassing board. Shall the city of Lake Worth Beach amend its charter at Article 3, Section 2 to reflect that the election results are certified by the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections? So what does the amendment provide for? Formalization of the current city practices. Since the city uses the county canvassing board to canvass the city's elections, the county supervisor of election certifies them. It ensures professional standards. It ensures that elections are certified by officials with specialized training and experience in election law and procedures. The supervisor of elections and her staff have the technical and administrative expertise to conduct and certify the elections. It maintains legal accuracy and compliance. It updates the city charter to accurately reflect current legal requirements and election administration practices according to state statutes. The second proposed amendment has to do with certification. This is, if you grab the handout at the table, this is actually the precise change in proposed language. I'm not going to go through and read this, but this is what is on the table that you can grab, and this is the precise proposed change in the language to the charter. The second proposed charter amendment, lease terms for city-owned property east of A1A. The ballot question will read, in order to encourage private investment in and redevelopment of city-owned property and reduce the city's maintenance costs of city facilities, shall Article 2, Section 3 of the City of Lake Worth Beach Charter be amended to allow city property east of A1A to be leased for up to 99 years for purposes other than lodging and residential uses. What this will provide for is financial feasibility. Major developers often require longer lease terms, for example, a standard 99-year lease to secure bank financing for large-scale projects. Infrastructure improvement. Modernizing older city facilities can be extremely expensive. This change allows private entities to bear the cost of redevelopment and maintenance while the city retains ownership of the land. Steady revenue. It converts city-owned land into a source of predictable long-term income without the city having to manage day-to-day operations. Risk mitigation. It transfers operational and maintenance risks to private lessees while the city maintains ultimate ownership and control of valuable beachside property. Enhanced beach access. Private investment can lead to improved amenities and facilities that enhance the public's beach experience without depleting city resources. Competitive positioning. It allows Lake Worth Beach to compete with neighboring coastal communities that already offer similar long-term lease arrangements. Tax-based protection. It keeps valuable land in city ownership while generating revenue rather than selling assets that would be permanently lost. Here again, is the precise proposed change in the charter language. Again, this is on the handouts on the table. I know you can't read it from where you're sitting, but we just wanted to let you know that we are providing it tonight. The proposed third amendment is lease terms for parks downtown and west of A1A, and the ballot question reads, in order to encourage private investment in and redevelopment of city-owned property and reduce the city's maintenance costs of city facilities, shall Article 2, Section 4 of the City of Lake Worth Beach Charter be amended to allow city-owned property west of A1A that is restricted in the charter to be leased for up to 99 years. The amendment would provide for revitalizing public spaces. The city may not always have the budget to improve its city-owned public spaces. Longer leases make it more attractive for private partners to invest in these public assets. Economic development. Extending lease terms enables more substantial so-called anchor projects in the downtown area, increasing foot traffic and supporting local businesses. Community amenities. Private partners can develop parks and recreation facilities with modern features that the city budget might not support, improving the quality of life for residents. Job creation. Significant private investment in downtown and park areas can create construction jobs and permanent employment opportunities. Neighborhood revitalization. Neighborhood strategic long-term leases can catalyze broader neighborhood improvements and increase surrounding property values. Public-private partnership opportunities. It opens the door for innovative collaborations that blend public access with private management expertise. Deferred maintenance solutions. It addresses the backlog of repairs and upgrades needed for aging city properties without straining municipal budgets. And last, flexible development options. It provides the city with tools to respond to changing community needs and market conditions over time. Here again is the exact language. That would be the change in the charter. That's on the handout on the table that you can grab if you haven't already. The fourth proposed charter change, filling city manager vacancies. The ballot question will read, shall Article 4, Section 3 of the City of Lake Worth Beach Charter be amended to require the process for filling a permanent vacancy in the office of city manager be started within 90 days of the vacancy and continue in good faith until the office of city manager is filled? This amendment would provide for organizational stability. It prevents the city from being stuck in so-called leadership limbo, where interim managers may lack the long-term authority to make major decisions. Accountability. It creates a transparent legal requirement for the city commission to act promptly, ensuring the community has stable professional leadership. Strategic planning continuity. A permanent city manager can develop and execute long-term strategic initiatives rather than focusing only on immediate operational needs. Talent attraction. Quality candidates for city manager positions prefer to join organizations with a clear commitment to permanent leadership rather than prolonged interim situations. And last, best practice alignment. It aligns Lake Worth Beach with professional standards recommended by the International City and County Management Association, the ICMA. The precise changes of language to the charter are there in the handout. And the fifth and final proposed charter change, repeal of defunct police and fire sections. The ballot question will read, in recognizing that the city no longer has a city police or fire department, and to eliminate any confusion, shall Article 4, Section 10 of the City of Lake Worth Beach Charter, police and fire departments, be repealed? So this amendment would provide for clarity and modernization. As you know, the city no longer operates its own independent police and fire departments, so keeping these sections in the charter is outdated. It reduces legal risk. Removing so-called deadwood language from the charter reduces the risk of legal confusion or administrative errors in the city's management of public safety contracts. Creating administrative efficiency, it eliminates unnecessary provisions that no longer apply to current city operations, streamlining the charter document. It provides for accurate public information. ensures that residents and businesses consulting the city charter receive accurate information about public safety services and how they are actually provided in the city. And finally, it provides for contract clarity. It removes potential conflicts between charter language and the city's actual contractual arrangements with Palm Beach County for police and fire services. And this would be the change in language from one to the other if it passes. So again, the election is scheduled for March 10th. Your deadline to register for the election is February 9th, so please make sure you're registered. Polls will be open from 7 to 7, and eligible voters will be anyone who is a registered voter inside the city of Lake Worth Beach. And then the certification results, they will be certified by the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. That's the end of the presentation part of this. For those of you who have been following it, you know we now open it up to Q&A. Whatever questions we can answer. We're going to do things a little differently tonight. We're going to have you come up to the mic. Come on up.
Ooh, it's high. Okay, I understand there are good reasons to pass this amendment. I understand there are good reasons to not pass this amendment. And I do have a question, but I have to just give a bit of background before I can ask it. There's a current situation in West Palm Beach. A group called Leisure Resorts has a long-term lease on the city property at Banyan and Flagler Drive. There's a marina there now. They have proposed to build a private club, 4-story private club. 2 bottom floors would be retail and restaurants. The 2 top floors and the roof would be private club only, with one heck of a membership fee. So my question is this. If we vote either for either west or east, the 99-year lease, could there be developments built that would be entirely private and not open to the public?
Okay, that's a good question. So do you remember we started out and we talked about sort of those 3 layers of government, the city charter, the comp plan, and the LDRs. The city charter does not speak to what can be built and where it can be built. The LDRs are what control the rules for what can be built in the city. What's proposed on the ballot on the 10th is nothing to do with the LDRs. So whatever is permitted to be built in a location here in the city today would not change. Whatever is prohibited from being built in the city today would not change. Okay, so that's a separate question. So the first question is, does this change whether it can be allowed or not? The answer is no. Your second question is, can something like that be allowed today under the current rules? So that's sort of a William Waters question.
Good evening. We don't have an actual use in our code right now that specifies private-only club. We don't make a distinction necessarily whether it's a private club or a public club. So I'm not quite sure how to answer your question, except how Elliot said the charter amendment doesn't change what's in the code now. And I believe we would have to change part of the code to facilitate something that was exclusively private. But I'd have to look into that. We haven't been asked that question before.
Okay. Another question? Come on up.
You need to bring this thing down to us short people.
You and me both, brother.
I had a question. This is regarding, I guess, the west of A1A business. Your advocacy statements up there said, it allows us to revitalize neighborhoods. I happen to live in the Mango Groves neighborhood, and we've seen developers, now, albeit this is a private, they purchase this land, build stuff that is totally out of concert with the rest of the neighborhood, because while we're a historic neighborhood, we're suddenly seeing modern buildings going up that kind of clash. So without having the ability to have any input for 99 years and not knowing what kind of commission we're going to have in the future, aren't we putting our citizens at risk for totally destroying the neighborhoods rather than revitalizing them?
So the answer would be regardless of whether a developer wants to come in and lease something for 5 years, wants to lease something for 30 years, wants to lease something for 99 years, he still, or she, still needs to abide by the same rules that dictate what can be put there. So this does not change. So if there is something in the neighborhood that comes into the city, part of the city's process is to do the evaluation that you're talking about, to evaluate whether it is compatible, whether it meets the rules and regulations of what can be built there. That process remains exactly the same. So regardless of how long a possible lease would be for the property, it still would have to conform to the rules that currently exist for what can be put there.
Yeah, but we've seen in the past where past commissions have sort of rubber stamped, and without having the citizen input and the ability to say no, it puts us at risk. That's my comment. Thank you.
I hear you. Another question? Yes, come on up.
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to admit that I haven't paid attention to a whole lot of things, but like I'm not Ramsey or some of the other folks that are here that I'm not like some of the folks that come regular, right? But something in the two proposals or charter amendments or whatever you call them, extending the lease, it talked about it defers, and I'm just ad-libbing, right? Defers some of the maintenance costs and stuff to, I suppose, the renter, right, the lessee. But didn't we just have a thing here with Benny's where is it true that somebody, if they lease property, they're responsible for any maintenance that goes on at that property? Because we just had a thing with Benny's, right, where we deferred their rent or something like that right, because so does the city really benefit from that financially, from having a 99-year lease?
So I think I'm going to maybe paraphrase William, and you can throw something at me if I'm getting it right. But when the city does negotiate a lease with a tenant, the terms of that lease are sort of everything in that lease is negotiable.
Okay.
So every lease could be different with regard to maintenance responsibilities, picking up the cost of this, picking up the cost of that. So it's lease specific.
Okay.
Yes, come on up.
Hi there. I have two questions, one prepared and one that just came up tonight. There were two different sheets handed to me with similar wording from different people, suggesting that proposals, the referendum items, questions 2 and 3, they actually eliminate the citizens' right to vote on this. And then I see the city-prepared language, which you referred to as the precise language that would be in the charter if this passed, still retains the without the affirmative vote of the majority of the electors. So really the only thing that is changing is the length of the lease.
Correct.
Right.
The language that's in the city charter that speaks to sending it out to public vote stays in the city charter. That does not get eliminated by this.
Okay.
The only change is the number of years.
That's important to communicate because the opposition is jumping all over that. Okay. And my question is this. Given the very reasonable possibility that the state may reduce or eliminate property taxes, and given that cities like Lake Worth Beach will still be expected to provide the same level of services, isn't it true that questions 2 and 3 simply preserve public ownership of city land while giving the city the flexibility to lease certain properties, such as the long vacant pool? We can all take a walk out there afterwards and look at its beauty. Since 2017, it's been empty. The flexibility to lease certain properties, such as the pool, in a way that attracts private investment, reduces maintenance burdens on taxpayers, and still requires public hearings, commission approval, and compliance with the comprehensive plan.
The short answer to your question is yes. It doesn't change the process. Whatever public process exists for leasing public land does not change with this proposal. Whatever the public input that is required as far as hearings or as far as public meetings, that does not change. The only proposed change is the duration of the years of a possible lease. you referred to the property, the state and property taxes. So, yes, what this would do is there are developers that may present projects to the city if there is an opportunity for a longer lease that they would not present to the city if they don't have an opportunity for a longer-term lease. So it does open the window. Obviously, if you have developers that have a window of 30 years, you'll always get those projects. If you have developers that require a window of beyond 30 years without a public vote, then you might not get those projects. So this sort of expands the window of developers looking at the city if their mindset is, I only want to look at places that require 99, longer lease term without vote.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Come on up so people can hear you. All right.
Hi, everybody. Nancy Udell, Paracove. I just want to clarify that you are, of course, correct. That's what's being changed is the length of time. So right now, in the current charter, citizens can vote on a lease if it's over 30 years in length. Mm-hmm. And with the change, we can vote on a lease if it's over 99 years in length, which I'm not sure anybody even does that. So in
Correct.
essence, I understand your point, Wes, but it's not that, the way the wording is, it used to say up to 30, now it says up to 99. So is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. It's all right. You can start walking. It's okay. Yes, sir.
Hi. Ryan Smoller, Bryant Park. Very, very rookie question. So on the ballot, when you say the citizens can vote for the lease, do we, as she was mentioning, we'll call it the Benny's rule, do we get to see the terms of the lease, or is it just the length of time and the name of the LLC?
Let me refer to the answer is yes. It would be part of an agenda packet or something like that. Yes. So something like that would be available for the public to take a look at.
Yeah, as far as like who bears the burden of maintenance costs and things like that?
Sure. I mean, any lease that the city has is public record.
Okay. Thank
you. Whether any current lease is public record, and anything that would be part of an agenda packet for a proposed lease would also be public record.
With regards to number 2, I've heard a lot of comments, to relieve the city of financial burdens related to the beach. And I can't really find the specific details down to, the $10,000 mark. What are the specific burdens that this, in terms of actual dollar amounts, say for the fiscal year 25 that we're being relieved of?
Sorry, give it to me one more time.
Okay. Well, basically, they're talking about this is going to relieve us of the burden of maintenance and financial responsibility and that related
it could.
to the... Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm asking is are the specific current burdens for fiscal year 2025 and for the budgeted 2026 that would be specifically relieved? I can't find the actual dollar amount, say, down to the 10,000 level. So you can't judge whether you're making a good economic decision or not until you see the specific dollar amounts. Who has that? Do you know what those are, and were they discussed?
Well, I think it's not possible to give a specific dollar amount mm-hmm. without having a specific project or mm-hmm. specific terms of a lease. But speaking conceptually, if you have a property and it's leased to a tenant, and your lease requires the tenant to assume a certain amount of responsibility for the maintenance of that property, then obviously that's a financial burden that you are no longer responsible for. So with that, conceptually, that's the idea behind it. Yeah. The specific dollars and cents as to what dollars are going into maintaining current city property versus what dollars wouldn't go into maintaining current city property, mm-hmm. which I think is what you're asking, correct?
Yeah, not only that. For example, we pulled in $3.3 million in fiscal year 25 mm-hmm. From the parking and citations. So exactly where is that $3.3 million specifically going to? What are the dollar amounts? that we're using right now that $3.3 million for. And that's what I'm sort of looking. How can I make a judgment with regards to financial burdens that will be relieved in the future if I can't look at the current financial burdens that we're being relieved of? And go ahead.
No, keep going.
Yeah, and the second issue I would, I think to the best of my recollection, I've only been involved with regards to one 99-year lease, and that was back around 1984, representing a landmark bank, which used to be the big bank in downtown Fort Lauderdale in the center there. And as soon as the ink was dried on the 99-year lease, Terry Stiles went in, and one of the provisions in the lease is you couldn't build a bank next to the current landmark bank on land that we were leasing to Terry Stiles. And as soon as the ink was dry, he went in and he said, antitrust violation, you've got to knock that provision out of the lease. So we spent a year negotiating the lease. We were also happy to be getting involved with Terry Stiles. And then our lease on our landmark bank adjacent property, we're going to have a big bank built right next to it, something we didn't want. They broke the lease. And then I see the name Stiles pop up last year. Even though Terry passed away in 2017, I guess that's probably still related to the company that he had formed. And then the second 99-year lease issue is the 1967 lease that the city leased that land across the street there. And the city was in litigation for 22 years over that lease. So it just seems like all you hear these days are nightmares regarding 99-year leases. And that's about all I have to say.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You want to come on up?
Good evening, Troy Perry, Assistant City Manager. To answer your question, every year in September, the City Commission, is required by law to adopt a budget. Every year we adopt a budget. In that budget, there's details on how much we spent for staffing, repair and maintenance, small equipment, that type of thing. So that information is always available through our finance department. But every year our department, like I said, the city is required to pass a budget. And it's called the beach fund, and that beach fund tells you everything that needs to, that goes for in running that department.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Who is? Come on up.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody. So we heard last night that the city is essentially in a financial dumpster fire, okay? Meanwhile, we've just given away millions of dollars to Mr. Wiener to build his downtown skyscraper. We've given... I got a question. I do have a question. I should be able to back my question up, though. I want to give information and then have a question that follows that, if that's okay. Can I do that?
Go ahead.
Can I get my time back?
There's no time limit.
So, no time limit. Okay,
well,
thanks.
Don't,
in
don't
the
take that
beginning...
literally.
No. So we're looking at a financial dumpster fire. Yet before this, we already know we have deferred maintenance. And we've got a problem with our sewage system. If you hang out downtown, you'll smell it on both sides of the roads, Lake and Lucerne. Now, they've known this for quite a while. I do have a question. They've all known this smell for quite a while, and it all started after we built the Bohemian and the Artist Lofts. So essentially, our sewage system is overloaded right now.
And
so the plan is, I still have a question.
I get related to the charter amendments, I hope.
Oh, definitely.
Go ahead.
So in the beginning...
You're starting with in the beginning?
If we keep interrupting me, I guess I'll just have to. Okay, so now we've given away millions and millions of dollars to WMOTA. We've given millions of dollars to Vanilla Ice. You know, that property, we bought that for $1.2 million and gave it to him for $300,000. Wiener or WMOTA High Rise downtown, they've got an imaginary 50,000 people coming downtown in however many years it's going to take to build that thing. Do they really think that the storefronts are going to be open during all this horrible construction? No. Then people are not going to fill in right now. Okay, so almost there to my question. So all the money given away, and so they've known about this deferred maintenance. We've known for a while that it smells like our collective rear end downtown. Something has to be done about that. And so now it's like the commission, the bland, generic commission, is like, well, we're going to have to sell some stuff if we're going to fix the plumbing situation. So it's just funny how this is all coming up together right now. I believe this is a scam. They need to sell all this stuff off to go back and spend money digging up the roads, possibly putting new pipes in, a new pump, so that we can then house the projects that we've given away all of our millions to. We need the hotel to be redone. Absolute praise to that.
I'm gonna jump in here just out of respect for your fellow citizens. I'm going to ask you to get to your question.
Okay. 30 seconds. Okay. So we've given all this away, and so now we're being asked to be able to sell off our properties to go back and then now redo the sewer system onto the roads. That means tearing up the roads, putting new pipes in, possibly a new pump. Maybe the grade is not good enough for the amount of sewage going through there. Are we going to have a major faux pas the second day when the Gulfstream reopens? Because that's going to be a lot of torpedoes dropping. That first night, the torpedoes are going to fall. Do we want that to build up and have this major faux pas looking at us? No, it's a scam. Vote no on 2 and 3. Now, my question is... my question... Are you here to get us to say yes to all this?
Okay, I can... Okay, so a couple of things. The answer to your question is no. But I will just a comment about your concerns and what you were talking about as far as selling off city property. Nothing here has anything to do with selling city property. Whatever the city owns, if it passes, the city will still own. It's not a back and forth. It's not a back and forth. I'm just saying all this does is adjust the number of years with regard to how long you can lease a property without requiring a public referendum, but it doesn't have anything to do with selling city property. So who's got the next question?
So there comes our marina that they were trying to build a marina that's coming. Good evening. I actually just thought of these questions as I was sitting here, so maybe something you've never heard in the other 3 times that you've been doing this. I was wondering, and you may not know the answer to this question, even Mr. Waters may not know, but what was the rationale originally for the city charter to be 30 years? Was there a rationale to that? Was there a decision that was made that 30 years was a good idea?
Okay.
That's my first question. My second question is, I'm sitting here and I'm really bad at math, but I think that if we did today a 99-year lease, that lease would expire in the year 2125.
Yes?
That's a long time from now. None of us are going to be here. Maybe even our children may not be here. Okay. So it's really hard to imagine what the future would look like, what the future of the community would look like, what the needs of the community would be like in 99 years. So we're basically saying a property could be here for 99 years, and we don't even know if there's going to be value of that property in 99 years. That's just something to think about. Okay.
So the original question is actually an interesting one we haven't heard yet. I'm not sure if anyone can answer it, but does anyone know the original intent when they passed the charter in 1913? Anyone from the city know anything about why they chose 30 years? Well, I would... Okay.
It wasn't in the charter in 1913.
Oh, Melissa, okay, it was not.
So we had a referendum. It's since I've been here, so it changed from 20 years to 30 years. But I don't remember what year it was. I'd have to look at it, like 2020? What? I've only been here since 2016, so it was since I was here.
Hi there.
It was changing from 20 to 30 years.
I've got bunions older than 2016. No, the charter was changed from basically what you're trying to change it to now.
It was changed from that to make it more restrictive on city-owned waterfront property and downtown parking lots and parks. And it was, and the language in that I don't see in any of your presentation, it says the city may not sell, rent, parlay, lease, it cannot give it away, any city-owned waterfront property east or west of A1A.
Right.
And it had to do with the reason that came about. I was with a very large group of people that gathered enough signatures to put a charter amendment on the ballot. It took 2,500 signatures to get it on the ballot, and the ballot passed by over 70%. This charter change now, is it going to require 60% of the vote to change the charter, or will it be a 50% plus one vote?
Melissa?
50% plus one is only for candidates. For referendum questions, it's whichever, whether yes or no gets the most votes. It doesn't have a threshold, 50% or 60%.
It does. It does not need.
No. So it's whichever. If more people vote yes, it'll pass. If more people vote no, it'll pass without. The 50% plus one is only to elect a commissioner or the mayor.
The same thing goes with a charter change. It required us to have over 60%. When you change a charter, it's like a supermajority. You can't go with just 50%, a little bit more. And that is not going to be the case with this one.
I would defer to Melissa. She's the expert as to what
I'm
it's going to
sorry, I
require.
don't know what the 60% is. As I said, it could win by one vote, it could pass. There's no percentage for referendum questions.
Okay.
So then
That's maybe for state referendum questions, not for municipal.
I guess it's Melissa. It's a simple majority, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
So yes. So for all intents and purposes, 50% plus one. That's what it is. It's a simple majority.
At the time that we changed this back in 2004, we needed 60% of the vote because it was a charter change. It's not just an election. And basically what we are doing if you pass these number 2 and number 3, you are eliminating the public's ability to vote for major development issues along the city-owned waterfront properties. Back then, the city commission at that time was trying to sell Causeway Park, which is the Old Bridge Park, which is Hot Dog Park, which is several different names for it. They were trying to sell that. They were trying to sell a parking lot across the street from the post office. They were able to sell before our deadline, before the charter passed, the parking lot next to Paradiso. And all of this was for development. It was for somebody to come in and develop it. Nothing's really happened with it. But the question I've got is why I'm trying to figure out why we needed 60% to change the charter back then, and we don't need a vote of 60% to change the charter now.
I'm not entirely sure that it was you maybe were calling it a little differently. I think it's always been a simple majority.
Was there a charter review committee that recommended these changes?
We're talking about this time around, these particular changes?
Yes.
No, the process for this was, I believe it was just the city commission, that it was sent to the city commission and decided by the city commission.
Okay, so if there's a large development that comes up that they like and the owners of that development would need a 99-year lease, it'll take a vote of 3 of the commissioners to approve that.
For the lease?
For the lease. In other words, if we change
whatever the process is today for approving the lease,
I'm not asking if that's going to change, but what I'm saying is that it will take for a major development, if this passes, a major development that takes up all of the intercoastal waterway there, or this park over here, or any of these, it'll take a vote of 3 commissioners, as opposed to going back to the city and saying, "Do you all think this is a good idea?"
Yes, whatever the process is for approving development today, that is the process that will exist if this passes. The difference is that today, if a development comes in and wants a lease that is longer than 30 years or 20 years, depending on what we're talking about in the city, it will need to go to referendum. If this passes and they want to lease up to 99 years, there will not be a requirement to go to public referendum.
Okay, this requirement is not now required for any other city property except for the waterfront, which is very precious to a lot of us, the waterfront in the city, and parks. I don't know if the parking lots downtown are covered with this, but I mean parks and waterfront property are the only properties that are being addressed with this charter amendment.
I don't know that that's accurate, William. Does the wording between the two, the east of A1A and the west of A1A, does it cover all city property, or are there?
There's a definition within that section that describes property that has a zoning classification of public recreation open space, which is normally the parks, or P, public, which includes the generation plant for the electric. There are several other P designations, 1900 2nd Avenue, where our offices are, is P, and it also includes some other properties that are that would be deemed not necessary for public purposes. Like we couldn't do this for where there's a lift station for the stormwater system or the sewer system. But it's more than just parks and waterfront properties. They are, if you look at the whole definition. We cannot lease, as I understand it, any public property that has a public designation or a PROS designation without a referenda if it's for more than 20 years west of Intercoastal or 30 years east of Intercoastal. No, including the waterfront.
Another question? Let me just, before we keep going, let me just acknowledge Jamie Brown, interim city manager. He came in, he's in the back as well. Come on up.
Ramsey McLeod. I just want to make a point of clarification for everyone. There is one citizen-initiated referendum item on the ballot. That is the city manager situation, because I'm the one that initiated it and persisted until I could get it on there, because the commission would not activate the Charter Review Committee. So just an FYI, that is the only referendum item that is a citizen-initiated item. And if you have any questions, please see me after. I'm going to hang till the end. I don't want to bore everybody with their individual questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Who has questions? Let's see if we could refocus a little bit to questions, Q&A format, if we can. Come on up.
I guess, is that okay?
I got it.
People hear me? No, down one.
There you go.
Okay, great. That's good? Oh, okay. Okay, I have some questions regarding Commissioner May's fear-mongering at the last meeting. It's actually related to how much revenue does the city get each year from ad valorem property tax? And I think it was around $20 million last year.
Okay, so wait, let's take them one at a time.
What?
Can we take them one at a time?
I'm sorry.
Can we take the questions
Yeah,
one at a time? Okay.
I'm getting
All
to
right,
it.
so-
I just wanted a little background for it, okay? I'm not going to go on and on.
Okay.
What kind of development would we need at our beach and parks to make up for the 19 million or 20 million shortfall each year? In other words, please describe the kind of developments that would give a $19 million annual payment to the city.
Okay, so your first question was, that's the easy one. How much does the city take in each year from property taxes? Okay. I don't know if someone has that number off the top of their head. I mean, it's obviously public. It's part of the public budget. But do we know off the top of our heads, Jamie?
I don't recall the exact number. It's around 28, somewhere in that million. But keep in mind that we also pay police and fire out of that. So a good portion of that money is already accounted for.
So
fire or police is 17 and fire, I can't recall what the exact number is. But a good portion of our budget is already obligated.
So what kind of projects are you thinking of? What kind of projects are people thinking of that would bring that money in? I mean, I know W Motor's supposed to give us 50,000 visitors a year, so right there, it's bazillions of dollars. I mean, we've got all these projects going.
Well,
we were told repeatedly that these were really going to save the city. So we need more big projects? I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it's... all right, thank you. Thank you. Who's next? Come on up.
My understanding is that all of this started when a developer came in with an unsolicited proposal and lobbied our neighborhood associations and lobbied our commission to push for this 99 and have the commission push to put it on a vote. Before the commission pushed for it to be on a vote, everybody said, no, we already know, we don't want to do this. So now it's come to a vote. So what I do want to know is, can the commission right now, if they, and the city and the residents, if somebody comes in, a great plan, everybody loves it, they want a 50-year lease, can we then at that point, everybody go, great, we love you, let's make that happen? Do we have to change the charter to do that?
Under the current charter?
Yeah, under the current charter, if we all love a developer, can we go forward?
So under the current charter, if a developer comes in and says, I need a 50-year lease, the only way that would be able to happen is if it goes to public referendum and the public votes to approve a 50-year lease.
Okay, so if everybody loves it, it will happen.
If I can't speak to everybody loving it, I can say if it passes a referendum.
Okay. All right, so my second question is, since this started, in my eyes, from an unsolicited bid, can the city now set their own solicit proposals for, and then in that proposal they can say, if you want more, we can, and our citizens like it, and you sell it to our citizens, and you find out what our citizens want, and you have the charrettes, and you have the town halls, and everybody loves it. Can they put that in a proposal, an RFP, when they're ready to do that? Can the city make the criteria of what needs to happen moving forward without changing the charter?
Well, if the city puts out an RFP, then obviously the scope that's in that RFP, the city can put whatever it feels is appropriate to put inside that scope. If part of that scope includes public charrettes and outreach and all that, that can always be written into the scope of any RFP that the city puts out. I think the broader question is something that's come up from previous meetings, which is from a developer's perspective. Does the uncertainty of that process cause them to hesitate to want to answer that RFP? So if a developer, and again, I mean, this is open to debate and opinion, but the concept is that if a developer wants to propose a project that would require a 50-year commitment, if the developer is unsure as to whether that 50-year commitment will be able to be granted because it has to go through the public referendum process, the developer might hesitate to bother submitting it and going elsewhere where there may be provisions in other cities where there is not that uncertainty. That's the thinking behind it.
Right. So if a developer, the burden is on the developer to really find out what is site-specific and city-specific and resident-specific. When that burden goes on the developer, they don't want that burden.
Well, I don't think a developer would shy away from charrettes and public presentations. I think it's more just the financial uncertainty of going through the process and at the end of the day not knowing whether they're going to be able to build it or not because they would require, elections are finicky things,
Yeah.
as you know.
in 2007 and 2008, we had developers here holding charrettes everywhere trying to sell, get everybody on board and all kinds of things. And they were spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to sell it to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have the money to do it. And if they want to come and get our money, I feel like the burden should be on the developer, and that our city should set up the criteria in their RFPs that include that.
Okay.
I think that's it. I might have
Okay.
one more.
All right, thank you. Someone else? Come on up. Sure. So for the purposes of the video, the question was that just who am I? My name is Elliot Cohen. I work with a firm that was contracted with the city to help them with outreach and public awareness with regard to the issue. I have nothing to do with the developer. Nothing at all. I'm sorry? I still didn't hear you. Go ahead. Say it one more time. Yes. Yes. Who? The city can. I mean, obviously, it's when it comes to. I mean, it's not uncommon for a city to hire an outside person to help with certain functions, whether it's outreach or anything like that. It's fairly common. But I don't work for a developer. Yes.
Just one more point to make locally, too. Elizabeth's is a fairly high-end restaurant in West Palm Beach, and Flagler and Banyan. And the city of West Palm Beach is now spending $40 million to buy back the leases that they gave Elizabeth's for 50 years. So it does happen, and that's something we need to be cautious of.
And true. And the only thing I would point out is if any city writes a strong lease to protect itself, then it's protected. If a city writes a weak lease with a lot of loopholes, then you run into a problem like that. But again, just to repeat what we've been talking about, the charter change doesn't speak to anything about writing leases or terms for leasing property or anything like that. So whatever lease the city would or wouldn't write under the current charter, the city would probably write the same type of lease under the amended charter. The only difference is the ability for the city to change the duration of that lease without public referendum. So your point is a good one. Cities should always write strong leases that protect themselves. Lake Worth Beach has, every lease is scrutinized from a legal perspective, as does every city. But that doesn't change based on the process we're talking about here. Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question. Like, if we look around at cities that maybe we admire how they're expanding or managing, what are other, what we would call successful? Maybe we don't call West Palm successful because it's overexpanded or whatever. But if we could find a city that we thought was doing well, a few of them, what are they doing?
With regard to lease terms?
Exactly.
Or duration of leases?
Right. Have we looked at, rather than reinvent, like, let's model, somebody must be doing something right that we could be modeled after.
So is there someone from the city that might have an idea of sister cities? What's common practice? What's typical as far as lease duration with regard to other cities?
So it's really dependent upon the city. A lot are at 99, some are at 70 or 75. I know the golf course, we were looking at the lease this week that West Palm Beach did when they closed the old West Palm Beach golf course in 2018, reopened as a P3 in 2023. They did a 50-year lease with the 20-year extension. So it was a total of 70 for that one. So it really depends on the city. But for the most part, they're all more than what we currently have. And again, and kind of going back a little bit, but another reason you had mentioned the financial uncertainty as far as someone coming in and going through the whole process. The other part of that is the actual time frame. So if we are a year and a half out from the next election, or it's nothing we would put on a ballot for, say if we have multiple people up for election, they might be waiting 2 or 3 years. And when it comes to business, that's often not something that's feasible. So there is a time factor in there as well.
Okay. Let me give someone who hasn't spoken first. Is there someone who hasn't come up yet? Have you spoken? No. All right, come on up.
Hello. I see on the television screens over here, it says, empowering voters to shape the future. If we vote this and pass this, we'll have a 99-year lease. The commissioners can approve anybody coming in. How are we being empowered?
I understand what you're saying. The slide actually refers to empowering you with the knowledge of what is going to be on the ballot.
Okay. Because I don't understand how empowered, because when developments come to the city, I go to the city commission all the time, and I'm like, please, just hold up, show some restraint. Please don't approve. Please make it a little smaller. Nothing. They don't give a darn about what I say or about my concerns. They just plow through these huge developments. I have zero power. We go up in front of the commissioners all the time. I don't know how you can say we're being empowered.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Who's next? Anyone? Okay. All right. Come on up for round two. Okay.
How are options considered? So if it's a city or a tenant option to renew, like if the city said, 19 years with an option, is the option considered the part of the length of time?
Well, you're asking a specific question about specific lease language.
No. So if it falls under the 30-year or the 99-year, you could play with it with the options.
Yes. I mean, any lease can have whatever options or terms are in that lease. I mean, every lease is individual, so you could certainly have that.
So if there is an option to extend, you're using that whole frame to determine if it's a lease that goes before the public.
In other words, your question is if someone signed. So let's take the way it's written with 30 years. You're asking if someone signs a 25-year lease with with an option to extend for 20 years. Is that something that can happen now? That's your question? I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. No.
Well, I mean, I can go back to the West Palm Beach example I just gave. They did a 50 with a 20-year extension for the golf course project. I might be wrong, but I believe they go up to 99, if I'm correct, for West Palm. So again, they didn't have to go all the way up to 99. It all comes down to a particular project and what the lease is they want to work out with someone.
I think what he's getting at is a lease extension a workaround to the 20 or 30-year limit? How do you measure the duration of a lease?
So if we were talking, say, west of A1A, you can go up to 20 years right now. Someone could do a 18-year lease. The next extension could only be 2 years. Like, you can't exceed that 20-year and you can't exceed that 30. So depending on how you want to divide up that lease, you cannot exceed that amount. It could be 13 and 7. It could be 17 and 3. You can't do that.
But it could not be 19 and then another 10.
No.
Okay.
Not for
a
West.
20 year. Right. Not for the 20. I think that's what you were getting at, right? Okay. Got it. Come on up.
Hi. I see a lot of people in the room. Aaron, who was my
Speak into the mic.
realtor, and Wes, who I used to work with, and both of whom I respect. And I think we do disagree, a lot of us, on this issue. But I just want to say that personally, while I was in favor of the Gulf Stream, which I think is wonderful, and the Gills, by the way, did come to us and ask us to increase the height requirements, and we did do that because it's a great project. And I also was in favor of WMOTA. But what bothers me about this is, first of all, the way it's been presented, which is, in my opinion, misleading. Okay, the ballot language does not say what we're voting on, and I'm very troubled by that. I don't think that's the way we should be conducting business. But also, it's the black box nature of it. 99 years is a long time. We're going to give, it might not be these three people, but what if a future commission wanted to, let's just say, because land use and strategic plan don't need a vote to be changed, so let's say those were all changed, and they wanted to give the beach and Bryant Park to the Nature Conservancy for $1 a year for 99 years, and only birds are allowed. Okay? But I know that's an extreme example, but what I'm saying is this is a carte blanche
for 99 years. That's a really long time. And 3 commissioners, and it's just, I just find the way it came through, the language, the misleading nature of the materials, the advocacy that we paid $48,000 to a consultant to come and, Elliot, you've been lovely, but in my opinion, you've been advocating for the whole time. I saw you change the materials tonight. Took out reasons for. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Okay. Question? Oh. Please try and keep it to questions. I know we all have strong feelings about this, but let's.
I think this is a question. I can make it in the form of a question.
It's like Jeopardy.
Like
Jeopardy.
Exactly. Like Nancy, I'm sitting here and doing a lot of thinking about the future of our sweet little beach town that we have here, and for sure the people that are the commissioners now are not going to be the commissioners in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 3 years, whatever. So I guess I'm thinking about these leases, and, it's like, okay, well, the city has to write the lease the right way. It has to be a strong lease, whatever. But how can we guarantee what's a strong lease? How do we guarantee that, I was at not the last one, but the one before, there's going to be provisions for increasing the rent or the payments to the city over these 99 years, I guess I have a lot of questions about that could there be a conflict of interest with a commissioner? Say, for instance, a commissioner has a stake in Frank's Fireworks, So they say, hey, let's have Frank's Fireworks there for 99 years on the beach. And 3 people on that commission vote, yes, we're going to have Frank's Fireworks on the beach for 99 years. I guess it's really a question about how can we guarantee these leases will be written in a way that's going to be able to protect the interests of the citizens?
So
it's a rhetorical question.
So the same due diligence, the answer to the question is the same due diligence that goes into the writing of a city lease today would continue to be the due diligence that goes into the writing of a lease regardless of its duration. What we're talking about as far as changing the city charter does not have anything to do with the process, the vetting, the legal language that goes into a lease. I understand the point. No, I understand the point that, yes, if you get stuck for 30 versus stuck for 99, but the due diligence that goes into writing a lease doesn't change.
I guess to get to a better point, my question is there any provisions for a lack of conflict of interest for commissioners voting on a proposal of something that's going to be in their interest, in their financial interest?
So whatever rules, ethics, due diligence, whatever exists today does not change based on this proposal. Yes, Melissa.
So if a commissioner has interest in a property, they cannot vote. They have to recuse themselves. They cannot vote on that.
Right, and that does not change with this. Someone else. Come on up.
I think this is the 3rd meeting I've been at that you've conducted, and you've been very professional. I have to compliment you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. And the one single question I have at this point, we have a very short and narrow beach, probably one of the smallest beaches in the state of Florida. Do you know if any city in the state of Florida has really opened their entire beach up for development to the extent this Lake Worth would? Because it's really small. This is just maybe 1,000 feet or so long. And most cities, they're miles long. I lived in Dane, and we had a 2-mile park to the north and then 2 miles of beach, a mile and a half of beach to the south, and we had a little beach, but there was just so much. We were surrounded by open beaches and small development. Has any city in Florida really opened themselves up to development to the degree we would be relative to how small our beach is?
It's a good question. Obviously, I wouldn't have knowledge as to other cities, but again, I'd go back to what I've said previously, which is whatever you can or cannot build on the beach today, whatever you can or cannot do east of A1A today, that does not change with this proposed charter. Doesn't change at all. The rules, the LDRs, remember the three levels, the charter, the comp plan, and the LDRs. This does not change the LDRs, and the LDRs and the comp plan are what dictate what can and can't be built, how tall, how wide, the setbacks, all of that. None of that changes with this proposed change in the charter.
So my understanding is with this proposed charter change is that the thing that it does do is takes away our vote. That's what it does. Am I correct?
It changes the requirement to go to voters from 30 to 99 years, or 20 to 9, depending on which one we're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, in the back. Come on up.
You just mentioned that this doesn't change the LDRs, but what would change the LDRs? How does that happen? How easy is it to do? And it's probably a William Waters question.
That is a William question. So what is the process for changing either
and how simple would it be?
Changing
LDRs
LDRs and changing the comp plan?
Decide, yes, we can put a hotel on the beach or a hotel on the golf course or whatever might possibly come up.
The answer is a little complicated, and I'll try to make it simple. If the changes that are desirous of the land development regulations are in compliance with the comprehensive plan, the LDR change can be done with 4 public hearings. 1 before the Planning and Zoning Board, 1 before the Historic Resource Preservation Board, and then 2 before the City Commission. If the LDR change is not in compliance with the comprehensive plan, you have to change the comprehensive plan first. And that process, it's the same number of public hearings, but the vetting process, because it goes through a state review, can take anywhere from 6 months to a year. And then you cannot change the LDRs until that comp plan change, if it were approved, becomes effective.
So basically, if somebody did come up with something that's not in our LDRs, within a year, maybe more, if we had to change the comprehensive plan, it could be done then. I mean, assuming the commission wanted to do it, and the citizens would have no say on that then with this new amendment.
Most likely, there is, as all of us are aware, there was an unsolicited proposal provided that is in conflict with our charter due to the height limits that are in our charter now. You cannot build a building or anything attached to a building taller than 65 feet east of Dixie Highway. And you cannot do the same thing for a building or anything attached to it for more than 100 feet west of Dixie Highway. The proposal that all of you have seen appear to propose a 12-story hotel at the beach, which could not happen unless you made other changes to the referenda. I mean, to the
I'm not just concerned though about the height of whatever's proposed, but the use of it and how much of the public space it would take up. Those sort of things is what I'm more.
Well, that's governed by the land development
definitely
regulations.
An issue, but it's not the only one.
Okay.
So, but basically, okay, you answered my question.
Okay, thank you. Come on up. Come on up.
I have about 3 questions. First of all, where is the glossy brochure that was at the last 3 town hall meetings?
Okay, that's the first question.
Where is the glossy informational brochure that was at the last 3 town hall meetings?
Well,
I hope so too. The reason I asked that question because I wondered if it had been decided not to use it anymore.
No.
Because my next question is, did you just say that the main change of this charter amendment is that east of A1A citizens now can vote on leases between 30 and 99 years, to approve them. I think it's west of A1A that's 20. So east of A1A, at the moment, if there's a lease proposed that goes from 30 to 99 years, citizens can vote on that in a referendum. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
And the amendment would mean that for a lease up to 99 years would no longer require a citizen vote. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And east of A1A, at the moment, for a lease between 20 and 99 years...
West. You said east. You meant
west. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Okay.
West of A1A, for a lease between 20 and 99 years, citizens would have to vote to pass that proposal. Is that correct?
Yes. The only caveat I'm going to give you is I don't know what the exact language, whether the current language says up to 20, so it may be 21 to 99 years. But yes, the general idea of what you're asking, the answer is yes. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I think it kind of clouds the issue a little bit, so I'll just read.
Okay.
Does not limit anything to 99 years. Any lease of more than 30 years, regardless of how many years it would be,
right,
requires a vote now, and any lease more than 20 years to 1,000 years, hypothetically.
So the language is more than 20. It's not
more
20,
than
it's
20.
Not 20 or more.
Okay.
So it's
more than 20 or
so,
more than 30.
However, I mean, it may not say it, but it is true that if we wanted a lease up to 99 years right now, we would have to vote on it.
Yes.
So for both Amendment 2 and Amendment 3, what changes is citizens will no longer have the right to vote on a lease up to 99 years to approve it.
So again, it's
up to 99 years from whether it's 20 or whether it's over 30, up to 99 years. If this amendment goes through for 2 and 3, they will no longer have the vote to approve that proposal.
It would not be required.
Right. Why was that not on the glossy brochure? Because there was a lot of information on the glossy brochure, and we were told at the last town hall meeting on Thursday that an attorney had said you cannot put it will eliminate the vote because that's a negative thing. But I think if you said, well, that was told to us in the meeting by the city manager. So I think there may be a way to be very factual and just say the amendment changes the requirement for a referendum from over 20 years to over 99 years, and then for the other property from over 30 years to over 99 years, which would be very simple, is completely neutral. And the piece of paper that Mr. Blackman said was inaccurate, actually just stated that very simple fact, that right now it's between, over 30 to 99 we have to vote, and over 20 to 99 we have to vote, and if it goes through, we won't need to vote. My question is, why was that factual and key information, which you have several times said, yes, that's the only thing that changes, why was that not on the glossy brochure?
So I can't speak to what's on the brochure, but what I can say is that's pretty much what we've been saying at all the meetings. But I do want to go back and echo something that William was saying. It's not the language, it's not up to 99 years. It's just anything over 20 or anything over 30.
But it doesn't mean up to 99 years is incorrect, because right now you're saying up to 99 years no vote is required. Okay, let's start again.
I think everyone has a pretty clear idea as to what the change is. Right now, let me see if I can encapsulate the change for you. Right now, east of A1A, if there is a lease of more than 30 years, not 30 to 99, just more than 30, it would require a public vote. Right now, if there is a lease of more than 20 years west of A1A, it would require a public vote. The change would be a lease east of A1A would require a public vote if it is longer than 99 years. And west of A1A, it would require a public vote if a lease is longer than 99 years. Those are the two proposed changes. Is that clear enough?
Well, yes, it is clear, but it's also true to say that right now we have to vote. There's a vote required for a lease between 30 and 99 years.
There's a vote required for anything over 30.
And that would include, does over 30 include
Of course.
over 30 and up to 99?
Yes, I'm just trying to be more precise as to what the language says.
Well, I'm just putting a limit on it, the 99. But it's not inaccurate, is it?
No, it's not.
No, it's not inaccurate.
But it's not what the language says. The language does not say 30 to 99. The language says over 30.
Right, fine, but I think we have the issue here clear, and that issue is, why was it not stated on the glossy brochure? I believe that your firm, Cornerstone, was somewhat responsible for creating the brochure. Why did you not say somewhere on that brochure that what really changes in 2 and 3 are the length of the leases that are allowed without a vote?
I don't have the gloss. I mean, they're here if you wanted to grab one. They're here if you wanted to grab one. You're more than welcome. I can't
But I don't
speak
need
to
to
the
grab one
language.
because I know what's in it. I just wondered why they weren't here. And they now are. So other people can see that language is not in the brochure.
Okay.
Can you just say, does anybody know why that language is not in the brochure when it's supposed to be factual?
I don't have an answer for that question.
You don't have an answer. Is it correct? You do not have an answer.
I don't have an answer because
does anybody have an answer?
I don't know if anyone has an answer for that question.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Are you going to answer my question? Yeah, come on.
Mr. Blackman has an answer. Since my name was uttered here. We're going to have a reading, and this is the precise language, according to our moderator, that was distributed tonight by the city, not by other people in the room. The amended charter language. And just to keep it simple, since we're at a simple level here, we're just dealing with the east of A1A property. So this would be the amended chartered language. City-owned property east of the A1A roadway shall not be declared surplus property and shall not be sold, hypothecated, conveyed, or leased except for a lease of what is now less than 30 years. So in my reading, and the compelling reason for this charter change is to allow a lease longer than 30 years by a referendum up to 99 years. That's the change, up to 99 years, which is underlined. And then it says, for purposes other, but we have a double negative. So all this is terribly written. And that's why we're talking about it now. And that's why there's confusion. No, I'm keeping things simple. And we're looking at, okay. Right now, the city cannot lease property longer than 30 years. Why we're here and why we're going to the election in March is to allow us to lease land up to 99 years. That's what the change would do.
You said the city
This
cannot
is the
lease for more than 30 years
Yes.
without the affirmative vote of the majority of the elected.
That's right.
You'd mentioned
Except for a lease of less than 30 years. But there's a double negative here. Shall not. It's terribly written and subject to interpretation. And I think there's a double negative. And what we're doing here is the reason for this is to allow the city to lease up to 99 years because we can't right now, even with a referendum. That's. It used to be 20. Then it was extended to 30, and the reason for this amendment is to give the city freedom to go to 99 years. So, prove me wrong.
Okay, Mr. Walters, if a developer came to the City of Lake Worth and proposed a development that complied with the LDRs and the main plan, the comp plan. And the citizens voted it through, and they wanted a 99-year lease. Would that be possible now?
With a referendum, yes, that passed.
So if it passed a referendum now, it would be possible to offer a developer a lease for 99 years?
Yes.
Thank you. East and west of A1A?
Yes.
Thank you. There's your answer, Wes.
Okay.
So...
You have more.
Thank you very much. Well,
Okay.
I don't think I've won. I just want things to be clear and truthful and factual. Whoever said that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who's next? Come on up.
I'm just going to follow up on that. I think a land use attorney could interpret this exactly what Wes is asking. This is very confusing. This is confusing language in there because my first reaction is, oh, okay, we knew we get to vote on it, even if we approve this, and that's not the case. So this is very confusing. This charter, this amended charter language has to change. It's too confusing, and it has to change. Can it be done before the election, or are we set in stone here?
I believe, Melissa?
Ballot
The ballot language is set.
The ballot language is set, but the ballot language is different than the charter language. So it would have... Okay.
Yeah.
So if to amend the charter language, they'd have to amend the ordinance.
Okay. So that's just what, because I'm looking at the charter language, and I'm saying, regardless, and this is not an advocate one way or another to vote. I'm just saying the way this thing is written doesn't fly. Thank you.
Okay.
Everybody that I have talked to about this, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I've been coming to these meetings, everybody's confused. It's really confusing, and no offense to Crossroads or Cornerstone, but that brochure and the actual ballot language, the language of the question itself, the language that when somebody walks into the voting booth and decides yes or no, and maybe hasn't been to these meetings and maybe doesn't know what's going on, that language is even more confusing.
Right.
It doesn't even say anything about the word vote. So, I mean, I think people are genuinely confused. And I've talked to a lot of people who said, oh, no, this isn't taking away the vote. I'm like, no, it is, and you've confirmed that, and the city's confirmed it. But the language is so confusing. I am totally with you on that.
Okay, thank you. Hang on. What I'm going to do is we have 30 minutes left. If we want... Oh, I know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask that we try and come back to the questions. If the commission meetings are wonderful opportunities for people, they get their ability to speak. But for this purposes, I really want us to try and focus on a question that city staff that's out here can answer. So if we can sort of refocus for the next 30 minutes on if there are any remaining questions that can be answered, that would be great. Jamie, yes.
So we did not write the charter. The charter was written in 1913. Obviously, there have been amendments over the years. I don't know who wrote it originally, who the founders were who wrote the charter. But if you read the charter, if you read the state statutes, which I have to do a lot for my job, they're very confusing and very difficult to understand. So it takes some work. That's all I've got to say. But we didn't write this. We didn't write this language. I didn't write it. So it's from the ordinance that set up the ballot language. And that shows how the charter would change should the referendum pass.
Just real quick on that word elector, there's two different definitions of it. In federal level, elector is a elector for the college. Thank you. In the state of Florida, elector is the citizens. It's not someone that's appointed, it's the citizens. in state of Florida. So anyway,
okay.
I want to go to.
Do you have it?
I'm going to a different subject.
Okay,
I'm going to go to a different subject.
Please make it a question. Just out of respect for the people that are here,
All right.
let's ask a question.
Well, I just want to know if you guys got it. I just want to know if anybody's got an issue on the other 3 items on this ballot, because I don't. So I just want to know if why anybody would have an issue with it.
Okay. A question with regard to the ballot.
Number 2. Greg was talking. Thank you. Question 2, in order to encourage private investment in and redevelopment of city-owned property and reduce the city's maintenance costs of city facilities, shall Article 2, Section 3 be amended to 99 years? I'm not sure I've heard anything in the time that I've been at these 2 things that I've been to about how this amendment would reduce the city's maintenance costs of city facilities.
Okay, so that is a good question. So if you are a owner of a property and you lease the property and you have a tenant, one of the options in that lease is to have the tenant pick up some or all of the cost of maintenance of the property. So if you own a piece of property and you don't have a tenant, you are 100% responsible for whatever costs there are associated with repairing or maintaining that property. If you have a tenant, as terms of the lease, you can require your tenant to pick up some of that cost. Hypothetically, sure. Yeah. Yes, sir. Jamie.
Here we go. A perfect example is the actual building we're in right now. All of the tenants that are downstairs all have something called CAM, Common Area Maintenance. So that is part of their lease. They pay a certain amount for CAM, which pays for a lot of the maintenance on this building. The city still has to allocate funds each year in our annual budget to make up the difference for that, to maintain this property, but every tenant does have a CAM. To answer your question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it kind of strikes me is that I'm looking at question 2, and if the 99-year item was not on here, but rather it said was a lease for up to for less than 30 years, but for purposes other than lodging and residential uses, I think people would be all in favor of this. Now, I've had a personal, private conversation with Mr. Waters, so I'd like confirmation so publicly about the comp plan does specify that no hotel, no lodging or residential uses can be built east of A1A. Can we get that confirmed? This is at the beach. I'm looking at item number 2.
Okay. There's your answer.
Yes.
You have a question?
I do.
Okay.
I have a question about number 4, actually.
Okay.
I want to know. I'm curious what's being done right now that this has to be on a ballot. Like, why is it that this is not being done? Or is it in the process? And I love listening to him. I do. I love listening to him.
So let me refer.
Why it's on the ballot.
So why is it on the ballot?
Why is it not being done?
Okay. The reason I initiated this is because our previous city manager was blindsided at an evaluation meeting, and she was let go on December the 13th in 2023. Since that time, Jamie, who's been doing a yeoman's job of filling in, has been doing that for 2 years. On the 20th of January, at the last commission meeting, they finally approved a contract for a vendor to come in and begin the search of finding candidates for a city manager. I initiated this because I felt that was far too long to assign an employee to say to fill this vacant employee slot, and you got 30 days or 60 days or whatever, and 2 years goes by and they're like, oh, I forgot, let me get started on that. And I felt that's what was happening to the citizens. We elected them to do a job. Part of their responsibilities is to fill in vacancies, and the main one is city manager and also the city auditor, if I'm not mistaken. But they haven't done anything, and they've been taxing our public works director, who's trying to wear 2 hats. He's kept us afloat. He's improved the morale of the employees, but decisions can't be made for other directors and departments, and precedents can't be set, and policies and the rest of it set when you don't have a main person in charge. You can't run the ship.
Okay.
So, does that answer your question?
So there's nothing that says we have to stay here till 8, but if you have other questions, I'm happy to keep going. Okay.
Melissa, I'm just curious, how much did it cost to the city and our residents to put this on a ballot?
Is your question? Is the question, what does an election cost?
Yes, because I know we had to wait till March, and there was a whole bunch, like it costs us to put this to ballot, and all these
So
referendums.
March is the time for the municipal elections. The election is split amongst the municipalities that have elections, and I do not know what the election costs until a couple of weeks to a month after the election, when I get the invoice from the Supervisor of Elections office.
Wow.
We have budgeted, so we budget every year for the election and the runoff. We do not have a runoff. There's no runoff for referendum questions. But we have $92,000 budgeted. It won't cost that. Probably, I don't know. I'm going to guesstimate $45,000 maybe.
Okay.
But I don't know exactly until I get the bill from the Supervisor of Elections office.
So, just ballparking, possibly all of us residents are paying $100,000 to go through this process. Could that be put into a request for proposal that goes out to developers, and the burden goes on to the developer to do all of this same kind of thing, pay for the referendum that we're going to obviously have to do if the charter doesn't change?
Sure.
Can the burden of this $100,000 cost to have their own consultants hire you to do your same job you're doing, and the cost of this referendum, can that burden be put into the RFP for the developers to have to pay for?
You're talking about in the future, in other words, for moving forward.
If nothing changes, if 2 and 3, if everyone votes no, can that be done in the future for the next?
I believe you can
Yes.
put whatever you want in an RFP.
The answer is yes.
The answer is anybody going to respond? Or an ITN invitation to negotiate?
Well, there's a lot of developers chomping at the bits all over South Florida right now, so I think it's a possibility. That's my opinion. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see any other hands, which means I think I'm going to wrap it up with my usual reminder that this is March 10th. That's when this is on your ballots. Again, just a reminder, if you are not registered, please make sure you register to vote by February 9th. Polls are 7 to 7, and you have to be a registered voter in the city of Lake Worth Beach in order to participate. And when it's done, it will be certified by the Supervisor of Elections. Thank you all very much for coming out, and have a good night.